decided today to take a look at the culture wars. Earlier this week, there was a series of well-coordinated, and I just love it. Like, they accuse the left of having crisis actors, but let me tell you who the real crisis actors are. You're about to see a couple clips of them. Academy Awards going out for these things. But a series of school board meetings. Oklahoma City's mask mandate expired last Friday. But if you watched City Council on Tuesday, David Holt was still wearing a mask. So despite not forcing people to wear masks with a strongly worded recommendation, many of us are still practicing indoor masking and whatnot. And the schools, with their 2, maybe 3, 4 weeks left to go, by and large, are considering keeping those policies in place because, COVID's less now, but, the finish line's right ahead. Maybe we don't quit before we hit it. And apparently some folks have some stuff to say. So I think I'm going to show, let me just blow through these clips real quick because, then we can break down what exactly is happening here. So this first one is the Bethany School Board, and, we'll let you see the person.
Nikki Lloyd.
Good evening. My name is Nikki Lloyd. I'm the mayor of Bethany. I'm also very short. When I look around, I see a room divided. Friends and family, they've cut ties because we don't fall into the same group. Communities are full of anger, including ours. We point fingers at one another. We're divided into anti-maskers and mask Nazis. Those are the official terms that have been coined, I think, and that's a sad thing because it is very divisive. I think it stopped being about COVID a long time ago. That's not really part of the conversation now. I do want to talk about this though. When I met with Drew recently, we talked about how Bethany is a number 3 school in the state, which is incredible. And that means too, though, that the decisions that you make have a large impact in the metro area.
So, for those that could not hear, she said the two sides are anti-maskers and mask Nazis. So, gives you an idea of which side of the rhetorical argument she's on there. So that was the Bethany School District meeting. And then this tweet that went pretty viral. KFOR conversation continues about how elected officials can deal with the breakdown of civility as witnessed at UConn's school board meeting Monday night. Rants were met with applause. The board is relaxing some mask rules, but mask for high school students continue. As of last week, that shit's illegal. Senate Bill 403 that we covered at length does not allow you to shut down meetings, and that's as angry as I've heard anyone over laudable topics such as police killings and real problems. But her kid's 4 years old. And then this was at the Edmond School Board meeting.
Board knew for 5 days how many speakers were signed up to talk this evening and on what subjects. Many of us had already written our text. The board decided that instead of the original 5 minutes allotted for each person and subject, we would now be shot 2 minutes, 120 seconds. They must not want to hear what we have to say and we will not say. Now there's a need from these for any of you. Have you forgotten why this school district exists? It's for our children. But from the way this district is currently run, it could be hard to tell that right now. The one parent we had in the board this year left a huge group of folks behind, other parents. And now after May, there will be 0 parents on the school board. The fact that most of the voters I spoke with while campaigning for a parent this year could not believe. Many of them were shocked and did an about face when I told them there were not going to be any parents on the school board. They said, that's not right to have no parents. How many hours of sleep have you people lost thinking about how you can get your children's life back to normal this year? Because I have laid in bed thinking for a long time how I can get my kids' life back.
Okay, so she wants to get her kid's life back because it's the school board's fault for COVID, I guess. So anyway, as you can see, these meetings were quite long. There were quite a few people that came in a similar vein and got applause and cheers and all that for it. I don't know. I mean, I have a 6-year-old. He's been in a lot of different settings in the last year, and, you know, some worked, some weren't great. It's been a stress on all of us for sure. My wife has definitely bared the brunt of it, unfortunately. But like, you know, she's not rolling up at the school board meeting, like screaming at everyone, being like, take my kid back or else. I just, and like these suburban school districts like had much more relaxed rules than like, I mean, I'm in Putnam City, you know, but the urban school districts were much more locked down about it. And I don't, as far as I know, the parents haven't been rolling up being like, hey, you need to do this or die. So it's just like, I'm just very confused, like what this is even about, other than just like, obviously undiagnosed mental trauma of some sort. It's wild. And these people are like, they're all part of the same group. Cause like Kevin Calvey showed up at some of these, who's a far right wing kind of commissioner. I mean, like they got some groups organized where they're like, like time to roll out to the school board meeting, guys. Like we got some unpaid volunteer school board members we need to go and like scream at for 3.5 fucking hours. So yeah, I mean, I'm just at a loss, really. Like I don't know what these people think they're accomplishing.
I mean, it's really sad. I mean, I could barely stomach watching these videos, but as we have established, I am the good child and I do all my homework. But it's hard to listen to because on the one hand, these people are lunatics, and asking people to put a face covering over their child is not the end of the world. It is not something equivalent with Nazi Germany. But it is sad. Like, we do as a country need to take a moment and be like, yeah, this is really fucked up that our kids lost a 1.5 years of school. You know, I didn't graduate from college. I didn't get that, which is like, fine, whatever. But it's like, you can hear these pain in these parents' voices. And I understand that, you know, like as a nanny, like I understand how hard it is to be trapped at home with children. And you're like, I can't take you to the zoo. I can't take you anywhere. I just have to sit with you. That is hard. Sorry. I'm quite under the weather this week. But it's like heartbreaking to hear these parents like screaming at these people. And, you know, one of the Edmond parents brought up that like not a single person on the school board has a child who is like school aged in the Edmond city district. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that doesn't mean they don't care about your child. She was screaming at them at one point saying like, have you been kept up at night because my child's not like living their best life? It's like, they're on the school board. So like odds are yes, but more the odds are they've been up because you terrify them as an angry white lady. I
also want to point out that, like, as of today, Oklahoma, COVID would be, you know, on an annual basis the number 2 cause of death. Like, it is past, like, in 2017, 8,200 people died of cancer in the state of Oklahoma. More than that have died of COVID. So, I mean, you were talking about, you know, something that's killed a lot of fucking people. Like,
right. Yeah. And, you know, it's hard because so many of these parents have brought up the mental well-being of their children and what this has placed on them. And as someone who like suffers very much and thrives despite like a severe mental illness, there is more at work right now than just COVID. You know, you have to understand that your children went through a coup. Like a potential coup that happened and had to watch their government potentially get destroyed for one day. They had to endure and try to understand complex politics that were involved in the 2020 election. They had to understand and pray that someone explained to them what the Black Lives Matter protests were about, why they were necessary, what was going on. There's been so much this year that has detrimented people's mental health besides COVID. And your parent going up there and screaming at people is probably not helping that. What
Literally
would help
about wearing
that?
a mask. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's the only.
That's all it is.
That's it.
So first and foremost, if you're a parent, many of those frustrated parents, children at home, unable to work, many of the parents have to stay home with the children. As far as learning, we all know that in-person learning is far better than virtual learning. So their feelings are valid, right? I just want to put that on, like, a lot of parents, no matter where you are on the spectrum, progressive, conservative, black, white, urban, rural, this was a difficult year for parents, full stop. And so to be frustrated is not a problem. To be concerned is not a problem. The question is, what do you do with that energy? And that energy, they took it completely the wrong way. And so the question has to be, why would they take this energy the wrong way? And the answer lies as to why Oklahoma and Oklahoman politicians leaned so hard into culture wars, right? Which would be a theme of the show. And the reason is Oklahoma epitomizes more than any other state conservative nut job politics and policies. And those policies are, let's strip government of everything as much as we can, of the most basic functioning, right? And as people suffer from having a functional government, we have to give them something. And so a book I read last year, and I've mentioned several times on this show, a book I recommend for all of you is called Let Them Eat Tweets, right? Again, that's Let Them Eat Tweets. And Let Them Eat Tweets is a book, and it analyzes how in the hell can the Republican Party double down on shoveling money to the 0.1% and win elections, because it's never been able to work in the history of the world. It's very simple why far right parties don't win elections, in terms of conservative and plutocratic parties, I should say, would probably be a better term. By definition, 99.9% of people are not in the 0.1%. And so they're probably going to say, why in the fuck is the 0.1% getting all of these tax cuts, getting all of this deregulation, getting all of this money? And I'm sitting here suffering. I ain't but so much size of the fucking pie. It's $7.25 for minimum wage. Unions and private unions at an all-time low, right? 1 in 4 children in this state before the pandemic went to bed hungry. So how in the fuck can you justify those two things coexisting and win elections? Well, you do that by leaning into the culture wars, right? That is the only way you can make it happen. The book is entitled Let Them Eat Tweets. It's really let them eat racism. Let them eat anti-mask wars. Let them eat Joe Biden is taking your hamburgers. Let them eat, let's demonize transgendered children, right? Let them eat all of these things, because we cannot give them policies. We cannot actually help them. We cannot give them a functioning government. And Oklahoma is ground zero for that, right? So and then that's the overarching thing. Let's take it on the ground. Again, feelings are incredibly valid. What they're asking their children to do is put on a simple mask. There is no ask of large or substantial investments, which, by the way, if you're a parent in many school districts in this state, well, every school district, it's just most school districts, they can't afford it. What you will be asked to do is cover basically every fucking thing, from costs that they can make you pay as a parent, from sports, extracurriculars, damn sure school supplies and all of that. That cost, that doesn't have to be borne by parents. We could, as a society, say, if you can get to school, we're going to get you to school and we're going to help you learn. What the fuck do you know? Like, we can give you these things, right? And oh, by the way, during the pandemic, those costs increased substantially for parents, right? So that could be the issue, right? It could be not only it's a pandemic, but we weren't getting proper assistance prior to the pandemic. Children weren't getting adequate education, right? They were going to school 4 days a week in many districts around here. Prior to this, there weren't adequate resources for schools. This pandemic exacerbated that. Why are you not arguing about that? And because if you argue about that, you got the left, the right, you got Nick Singer next to you. Like, yeah, man, why in the fuck am I paying for this? right? Like, I don't feel you on the whole Nazi reference, fam, but like, why? Like, you have parents like there's no disagreement on that.
Yeah.
So, in order for a state like Oklahoma to exist, for a country like America to exist, you have to lead people into an anti-mask fight, right? It's a simple piece of cloth that will be given to your child, that can be given to you, and it's inconvenient. I don't like it. My teeth are my moneymaker, right? But it's for safety. It's for the safety of your kid. It's for your own personal safety. So many people this year, you talked about the COVID numbers. So many people this year caught COVID from their children, right? So we know children can spread COVID. We know children have not been vaccinated. We know we only got like 4 weeks, 5 weeks left of school, if that in many places. Have your kid put on a mask, go to school. Let's finish it out as strong as we can. Then hopefully get the ball rolling next year as we defeat this thing. But the answer as to why they're having a mask fight and not an education fight, right? And there's plenty of fucking room for an education fight in Oklahoma more than any other state, is because plutocratic overlords, as it were, in Oklahoma have created this environment where we have to engage in mask fights. We have to engage in fights over demonizing transgender children. We have to let you have your AR and Applebee's because we can't educate you. We refuse to educate your children. We refuse to give you quality health care. We refuse to give you quality child care. We refuse to give you all of those things. I'm both going to say we can't. No, we can. We refuse to. And so rather than have you ask questions about that, we need to have you ask questions about a mask. And I'll just say this, because we're going to talk about culture wars, and there's a very loud dickhead caucus in the state of Oklahoma. We need to be cognizant of the dickhead caucus is loud. It is not as numerous as we all are led to believe. And Oklahoma had the lowest voter turnout of any other state in 2020. That's also purposeful. I often say I don't come from people who are living. I come from people who are surviving down in Hugo, Oklahoma. So if you got to worry about your child care, you got to worry about your health care, you got to worry about what you're eating tomorrow, maybe you won't engage in the political process and we can keep this train rolling. So we have to keep that in mind, as like the culture wars are a purpose, right? Misdirection, a purposeful distraction from what they can't do. We need to be emphasizing what the government can and should be doing and who it can do it for, because we are actually the majority in that regards. I genuinely believe that.